the Department of Public Works to order. We've already did the salute to the flag earlier, so I'll ask Chris to come on right up. Morning, Chris. We've got quite a few resolutions today, and we'll start off with the Highway Division. Everybody got the report? And does anybody have any questions for Highway? If not, when did you want to do the resolutions, Chris? You want to do them now, or?
That's entirely up to you. We can do them now if you want.
Let's do the resolutions or get them done with. Did everybody get a copy of the resolutions? There's like 7 of them. And with your DPW report. I can have Judy read them if you'd like me to. Would anybody like me to have Judy read them, or you want to just go down through one at a time? Okay, you got it. Judy, would you read number 1, please?
Resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to go out to bid and award a contract for the replacement of the Fertilian Road Bridge over Paradox Creek in the town of Scroon with funds to come from the bridge bond.
Somebody want to move that? Moved by Mr. Marnell, second by Mr. Moore. Any discussion on that? These were all part of the bond, of course, that we passed last time. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Number 2, Judy?
A resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to go out to bid and award a contract for the replacement of the County Route 34's Trout Brook Road Bridge over Trout Brook in the town of Minerva with funds to come from the bridge bond, and further authorizing the chairman or county manager to execute same.
Moved by Mr. McNally. Do we have a second on that? By Mr. Moore. Any discussion on that one? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution carries.
Authorizing the purchasing agent to go out to bid and award a contract for the replacement of the County Route 34 Trout Brook Road Bridge over Minerva Brook in the town of Minerva with funds to come from the bridge bond.
Moved by Mr. McNally. Do we have a second on it? By Mr. Whitson. Any discussion on it? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution carries.
Authorizing the purchasing agent to go out to bid and award a contract for roadway stabilization and reconstruction of a section of County Route 69 Hulls Falls Road in the town of Keene with funds to come from FEMA.
Moved by Mr. Garner. Do we have a second on that? Mr. Depot? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Resolution carries.
Resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to award contracts for construction equipment identified in the 5-year equipment replacement plan as follows. For 2 each tandem axle cab and chassis truck in the amount of $127,357 to New York Truck Equipment. 2 tandem dump box, plow, sander assemblies in the amount of $85,946 each to Henderson Truck Equipment. For 1 triaxle cab and chassis truck in the amount of $130,382 each to New York Truck Equipment. 1 triaxle tractor in the amount of $140,868 each to New York Truck Equipment. And self-propelled road widener shoulder machine in the amount of $133,200 each to Contractor Sales Company with funds to come from the equipment bond.
Moved by Mr. Manal, second by Mr. Moore. Discussion on that one? Mr. McNally?
What brand are those trucks?
Western Star.
Western Star. Are they interstate contract?
Oneida County contract, yes.
What's that?
Oneida County contract.
And the internationals are less money, or no? Are you buying these for preference, or?
We're buying these for preference and try to stay standard with the fleet that we have.
Anybody else? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution carries.
Number 6, authorizing a contract amendment with Dente Engineering in an amount up to $9,975 for engineering services, including performing subsurface investigations and providing a geotechnical engineering report as they relate to the Oregon Plains Road Bridge over Lions Brook in the town of St. Armand, with funds to come from the budgeted funds, and further authorizing the county chairman or county manager to execute said contract amendment.
Moved by Mr. Whitson. Do we have a second on that? By Mr. Moore. Discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Number 7, authorizing the purchasing agent to bid and award a contract to replace the vestibule doors and door controls located at the main complex, specifically just outside the purchasing office and outside the veterans office, with funds to come from the budgeted funds.
Motion, Mr. Moore. Do you have a second on that? Mr. Gardner? Discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution carries. Thank you very much, Julie.
You're welcome.
Do you have anything else for highway before we go on to buildings and grounds?
Nope.
Okay, buildings and grounds. Everybody's got the report. Any questions on buildings and grounds? Anything come up since you sent the report out, Chris?
No, nothing.
Okay. Janitors, any questions? Yes.
Where it was all decayed, was that under the tower, or was it right on top of these posts? Where we had the picture?
It's right under the tower, under the tower, under the bell tower.
Holding the tower up, or is it holding?
Right now, it's stable, it's fine. We had Carl Schroeder look at it, the engineer, and at this point, we're okay.
Yeah, sorry. Anybody else? Mr. Garner?
I'd like to say the ground really looked nice out here, with all the flowers and everything. I think you're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll go on to health and safety and codes. Anybody have any questions for that? If you have anything extra, Chris, just jump right in.
Okay.
Keep asking. Public safety building. Any questions on the public safety building? Mr. Gilmore?
Is that right?
I brought a paper. Hold on a minute. Last 3 times that we've had an issue, the generators worked fine. We've instituted a little bit of paperwork so that we can track every outage. And when we track the outage, we're tracking time, we're tracking date, we're tracking what kicked on, what kicked off. And the last report we had a little bit of a different issue. Everything switched over fine, but we had to reset some things. So we had to reset the HVAC controls, we had to reset the grinder pumps, propane, and we had to reset some VFDs on the boiler. So we've asked NICEAG to put monitors on the transformers as well as the lines coming in to try to monitor what's coming into the building. And they've agreed to it, so that's what's going on right now.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, engineering? Any questions on engineering? Set on that? Fish hatchery update. Everybody's got their update on fish hatchery. Any questions? Mr. Harrington?
Just a statement in regards to the drought and the water break. It certainly was a test for both the town of Crown Point and for the fish hatchery to keep everything functioning. And it certainly draws a line as to where the improvements need to be made.
Thank you. And also, when you see in there was a loss of fish, they were replaced. I think Chris told me on Friday, we were met by another county at no cost. So we worked together with other counties, and it worked out very well. Thank you. Miscellaneous, fairgrounds. Anything on the fairgrounds? Water and sewer projects? Any questions on that? Okay. Anything on personnel? How about equipment and solid waste? Okay, do you have anything else for us, Chris?
Nope, that's just
All the resolutions, yeah. Dan?
I do. Jim, I don't know if you want to talk about this here, it's probably appropriate, the nutrition building and the mold issue. I put on your desk a report prepared by Mike Mascarenas laying out the cost of associated with either doing the mold repair or doing a temporary location to the public safety building for the kitchen. I almost think it makes more sense at this point to do the mold. I don't know how ACAP feels or how you guys think we ought to proceed as a...
Well, I think Mike can share a little light on this. I would talk to Mike after the last meeting.
Would we like to have Chris go down, have Mike come on up? You're all set, Chris.
Okay.
Need you back, we'll call you.
Okay.
Come on right up, Mike. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, after the last meeting, Mike and I had a brief discussion about, instead of waiting till December to decide what we were going to do over there, whether we're moving or going to remediate over there, maybe we want to start meeting a little more often and come up with some things. So that day, we called Alan to see if him and Rob could meet. Rob couldn't, but Alan and myself and Mike sat down briefly and just discussed some of the things. They're willing to do whatever they need to do here to accommodate us. But one thing that we talked about is we didn't have a cost analysis on what it was going to cost us to remediate the problems that are there to stay versus moving to the public safety building. So Mike come up with this cost analysis last week, and that's where we are. We are planning on meeting again at the end of the month. Mike, you want to share?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at that cost analysis, that number was taken off from a bid that we put out last year. We are going to go out to bid again. I bumped it up a little bit because prevailing wage rates have changed, which is why you'll see the increase on the mold removal from what our bid number was. If we can coordinate that with getting a cooler and a freezer, I think it probably is our best option. I think it's the option ACAP prefers. I think it will take a lot of the logistics out of the planning of going to the jail and try to make all those meals work. In my opinion, that is the best option. The number one problem is once we remediate that mold, we don't have coolers. So we need to be able to coordinate to get a cooler here in time. That's our goal right now. That's something we really need to get on top of so we can do it at the same time and not have to risk a loss of service over there at that facility for minimal or nothing, hopefully.
I also think, Mike, something that was important that we discussed, regardless of whether what we do, that mold has to be remediated. If we keep the building in for storage or whatever, that mold's got to be taken care of. So that kind of comes out of the equation.
Yeah. Irrespective of whether if you rehab the building, build a new building, or tear that building down, you're still going to have to take care of the mold. It's always going to be there. That's going to be an issue that has to be addressed and taken care of at some point. So in that sense, that really isn't part of the equation, like you say. The other part is the purchase of the cooler would be able to be used both locations, whether we do it there or whether we do it at a new location or whether we put it in a new building. If we purchase the cooler, it will be money spent on a cooler we have to have regardless. So that's why it doesn't, to me, make sense trying to shoehorn them in down at the jail, and the sheriff has already indicated that he feels another employee would be necessary if he did that. So at this point, if that's the direction the board wants to go, I would suggest we do a resolution authorizing us to go ahead and get that cooler and get it in place, and then authorizing the remediation of the mold. Again, I don't, between the two, if you authorized it up to $20,000 for the remediation and the renovations, and up to $25,000 for the purchase of the cooler, then we'd probably be okay. We'll take that out of the project funds now that we've set aside for this, and then it will at least. I want to do that so that we're keeping track of what it actually costs to do this whole project, if we're going to do it.
And I think that's a great point, Dan, that cooler is going to be used either place, no matter what we do. So we're just purchasing it ahead of time. Right. So you'd be able to use it here, then if we move forward with a new building, then it gets moved to the new building. Right.
Yeah, and at the jail, we would have to rent it. It wouldn't be a permanent application of the cooler, so we would be kind of throwing good money after bad money with a rental of a cooler, because they don't have the cooler space to accommodate the senior meal site up at the jail.
And every place we've gone for cooler rentals is $2,500 to $3,000 a month. And it just seems like a crazy amount of money to spend for a rental.
There's something you're never gonna have for the future. Mr. McNally.
Is that cost on the cooler, is that installed cost, or is that something we do?
I think that's what we were figuring is all.
It is installed cost, yeah. Majority of those coolers are built in place, on site.
Right.
So yeah, they would come, they would assemble them right there. We're probably going to be looking at an outdoor unit so that we can easily move it to the new facility if that's what the board decides to do. It probably makes the most sense.
Yeah. Should we approach these people before we award the bid about the cost of moving it to the new facility? Or is that something we'll do in-house?
We could, Mr. McNally, or it would be part of the bid package of a new facility. I would think that would probably make the most sense.
Yeah, we would want to include it as a bid package within that, because obviously if you're doing more work, you're going to get a better price than you are if you're limiting it to
Fine,
one.
thank you.
Anybody else? And do we have a resolution to remediate the mold and to purchase a new cooler? Moved by Mr. Moore, seconded by Mr. Whitson and Mr. Depot. Discussion on that? Sounds like it's a pertinent thing to do. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Yep, thank you, Mike. Soil and water, Dave Reckons out there, I think. Come on up. Morning, Dave. Everybody's got your soil water report? Anybody have any questions for Dave? You got anything that come up after you did the report?
I just had a couple quick things, was just to highlight what's in the report was that the Stormwater Trade Show is going on, it's sponsored through the Champlain Watershed Coalition of New York down in Lake George. It's going on this Thursday. If you haven't signed up and you get an opportunity, you want to come down, it highlights all the trade show, brings out the people that are doing a lot of the erosion, sediment control, and stormwater projects, and the equipment that they have this year. They're actually going to have some of those vendors that are going to be actually giving presentations on some of the materials that they provide out to local towns, highway departments for projects. And it's a great opportunity to try to understand what's going on. We're also having some other speakers from all over the northeast area. I believe, I think the University of New Hampshire is coming down again. That they do a lot of stuff. They're one of the organizations that's done a lot with the porous pavement in a very cold climate, and they said it seems to work very well. And it's mostly in parking lots and stuff, but what it does do is they're finding out that because it allows the water to go right through it, and you don't get the issues of water sitting on it and causing a lot of ice to where you have to keep putting on more and more salt, it actually saves you money in the long run, even though it's a little bit more with installation, and then it makes it a little bit longer lasting. So they're going to come down and talk to us a little bit more about some of their results from some of their testing over long term. The other thing that we're involved with is the forestry. We're getting really close to having the Lewis timber sale complete. Hopefully it should be done either by the end of this week, and certainly next week it'll be done and ready to go out to bid. Part of that is that our technician that's working on that has also identified there isn't a timber sale per se ready in the Thai Crown Point parcel, but she's interested in doing there was a grant through the Lake Champlain Basin program to try to improve habitat in the Lake Champlain Basin, because that falls in that area. She was interested in applying for a grant to do habitat improvement on those parcels, or that parcel, I should say. I'm not sure. It's a grant that we can apply for up to $20,000. do we need a resolution to go ahead and we're just going to apply for it? What we would do is, if we do receive it, we would come back and go through a full proposal. What she's looking at is I believe it's a little over 300 acres. She's got about 70 acres identified that if it was some improvement cuts were done, it would improve the habitat for certain wildlife species that are listed as endangered, some of the songbirds and other species that are in the area that are on the Lake Champlain State or Lake Report that they are looking to improve the habitat for. So we would utilize this on the county forest land to try to improve that habitat.
Before I ask for a resolution, there's going to be one question. If you did get awarded a $20,000 grant, what is the match? What do you have to come up with, or can you do it in-kind service?
Lake Champlain Basin Program does not require a match. They like to see matches, but they do not require one.
That's excellent. Use it to our ears.
Yep.
Somebody want to move that? Moved by Mr. Whitson. Can we have a second on that? By Mr. Moore. Now discussion. Mr. Harrison, you want to talk about it? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries. Very good, Dave.
Okay. The only other quick thing I had was that we did host logger training at the fairgrounds last Thursday and Friday. Had our attendance. This is a class that you're only allowed to have 10 people, and we were able to train many of about half of them are local landowners that do chainsaw work, cutting firewood or cutting logs on their own property. Makes it a much safer way to do it. We probably will do it again because we called around and there was some interest in some of the highway departments, but it was a pretty busy time. So maybe we'll try to do it again in the spring and try to open it up to more of the highway departments. This one was actually sponsored by Essex County Farm Bureau, and we had a really good attendance. We're hoping to do it again.
Mr. Faraday?
Dave, on a different subject.
Yep.
How would a property owner along the east branch of the river, how would they find their base flood elevation?
It has to go through FEMA. It's part of the floodplain mapping.
Okay.
The trouble is, a lot of them are up for review and finding them. In some of the discussions I've had, one of the things is that I've tried to assist landowners in identifying that, but the requirement is that you have to have a licensed land surveyor. It can't be somebody like me that's just a survey technician. To find that floodplain elevation, it has to be actually marked out by a licensed land surveyor. But sometimes the trick is especially here, because some of our floodplain maps are kind of out of date, is trying to get those elevations and find out where they are and where the benchmark is.
They're way out of date, including FEMA's.
Right.
So it would be an expense to the property owner to hire a surveyor.
Right.
I have a constituent on the river who is still trying to get reimbursement through FEMA and New York Rising. And one of their questions is, well, what is your base flood elevation? Well, it's not out there. But your answer is what I've been told by everyone. He has to hire, again, more money out of his own pocket to try to figure this out. So now they're asking him what his elevation was before he raised the house. It's after the fact, nevertheless. So that would be that's the avenue he would take. Hire a surveyor, let him come survey it.
Right.
Okay, that's in the minutes, please.
Mr. Harrington, do you have something?
Thank you.
I have a question, but not on that subject. Through your office, Garrett Institute was hired to do an analysis on the basins at Monarchy Bay, of which was accomplished in August. I'm wondering when we're going to get that report, in as much as we are unable to do anything with the